This video is sponsored by Logitech. Hey, what's going on, people? Hope you guys are doing great. Today, we're gonna be taking a look back at my long-term experience with the 12.9-inch 2021 iPad Pro. The iPad is an incredible device, and I've been using it since the original. It's come a long way. From design to performance, it's crazy what Apple has been able to do with it and all the changes they've made. But the thing is, this iPad is more expensive than ever. The one that I have here starts at $1,099 for a Wi-Fi only 128GB model. And that's pretty expensive. This doesn't include any of the accessories that really make the iPad Pro shine. The ones that I use are the Logitech Combo Touch, the Apple Pencil, the 12 South Stay Go, and an ultra compact but very fast Sabrent SSD. These accessories make productivity, content creation, and content consumption much easier. I'll link the ones that I've been using in the description if you feel like checking them out. But for now, I want to talk about these accessories a little bit more and how I've been using them with my iPad Pro. Content consumption is the main thing that I use my iPad Pro for, and it's no surprise that it's really good at this. This includes things like watching shows, movies, reading articles, and even comic books, and playing games, of course. But it's not without its flaws, and I do have a few gripes. One thing I love about Microsoft Surface Pro devices is the built-in kickstand, and I would love to see that brought over to the iPad lineup. In the meantime, Logitech has my back because with this Combo Touch case, it has a built-in kickstand that works just like the Microsoft Surface Pro. And it really comes in clutch whenever I'm watching content or playing games. Let me tell you a little bit more about this case and how I've been using it because it's probably my most used accessory so far. The Combo Touch is a 3-in-1. It's a case, keyboard, and trackpad. It's made of high quality fabric on the front and back side combined with TPU material along the sides. It does a fantastic job at protecting the iPad while bringing extra functionality. This includes the built-in kickstand, like I previously mentioned, which makes watching a few videos or playing some games extremely easy. The kickstand adjusts to nearly any position since it's not limited to a few notches, and it has more range of motion than Apple's own case. In fact, I did a detailed comparison between the Apple Magic Keyboard case and the Logitech Combo Touch in a previous video. If you want to check out that video, click the card at the top, and you can learn all about this case and how it compares to Apple's. Unlike other third-party keyboard cases, the Combo Touch takes advantage of the smart connector on the back of the iPad Pro and then reroutes without latency issues to the side of the case. This means the keyboard and trackpad stay lag-free while being able to completely detach from the case for the times I just don't need it. Like when I'm using my iPad Pro to read articles and comics, or if I'm just browsing stuff online and checking my emails. The overall theme with this case is flexibility, and I gotta say, Logitech must have like a team of yoga instructors because they nailed it. It offers 4 different modes: tight mode, sketch mode, read mode, and view mode. Each one of these modes I personally take advantage of on the regular, as you'll see throughout this video. The keyboard is awesome. It's similar to a smaller laptop keyboard, it's backlit, and it has a full row of iPadOS shortcut keys including media controls, display brightness, and keyboard brightness. The case comes in 2 different colors, Oxford Gray and Sand. The best part about this case is it's a lot cheaper than the OEM case while having a lot more features. Check it out in the description. I promise you, if you have an iPad Pro, this is gonna be like one of the best accessories that you can get for it. One thing that you can't argue with is the performance of the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. I mean, this thing absolutely dominates any task that you throw at it. This includes gaming, content creation, productivity, and multitasking. I mean, this thing does not throttle whatsoever. It's a beast when it comes to performance. I love that. I've done everything on this iPad, from running apps in split screen to other multitasking tasks, to productivity work, to editing videos and photos and playing games. Gaming on this thing is amazing. The mini LED display with the 120 Hertz makes Xbox Game Pass on this amazing, as long as you have a good connection, of course. By the way, it's not a swing, it's just a wall. The mini LED display on this iPad is good, don't get me wrong, but it's also one of my biggest complaints, I would say. It's a little misleading. Like, does it look better than previous generations? Sure, for the most part. Like, blacks do get really inky and really deep, but there is significant blooming because of the contrast between the whites and the blacks. so it's more prominent. It doesn't mean that it's worse than previous generations, it just means that it's more noticeable. But the thing that bothers me the most about it is the brightness. This display is supposed to get much brighter than previous generation iPads, and I still have a very difficult time making out what's on my display in bright sunny situations. In a nutshell, if this display is what was encouraging you to upgrade from the 2018 or the 2020 model, then you might want to hold off until the next generation where it's going to be a little bit brighter and a little bit more usable, especially outdoors. It's not to say it's bad by any means, I just don't think that it's necessarily ready just yet. Secondary to content consumption, I primarily use my iPad Pro for note-taking, script writing, research, stuff like that. And for that, you don't need a beefy iPad. But this bigger display does come in handy because you can fit more information on your display. The thing is, it's mostly useful in this type of position. The moment that you undock it and use it in this position, it becomes a little cumbersome due to its size. In fact, if I would have known that the XDR or mini LED display on this iPad just didn't live up to the hype or meet my expectations, I totally would have went with the 11-inch. So this is something that you might want to consider, or just hold off until the next generation where they bring this same LED technology to the smaller iPad Pro, because I have no doubt that the 11-inch will get the XDR display. So you might be wondering, with all of the power of the M1, the extra RAM, the big, bright, beautiful XDR display, how's the battery life on this iPad? I gotta say, it's a bit disappointing. If I'm using this every single day and incorporating it into my workflow, I have to charge it at the end of the day to every day and a half. This is because the accessories are remaining attached and I'm using it constantly. However, even if I'm not using it and I just leave the accessories attached, like the Apple Pencil, this keyboard case, then you'll see that the battery still depletes. I mean, we got here probably 3 hours ago. My battery was about 55% and it's already down to 35%. So that just shows you how fast that this battery ticks down. And it's gonna be even worse if you have the 5G model. You know, I've mentioned this before in the past. When it comes to the iPad, it's not the hardware that holds it back. The chipset in the 2021 iPad Pro is blazing fast, and it was fast back in 2018. It's the software that continues to throttle this device, and it continues to do so even with iPadOS 15, despite all of the improvements that Apple has made. For one, we're just talking about an overall limited experience because most of the apps are still mobile apps, with a few exceptions like Photoshop and Lightroom. Most of these apps are meant for basically a blown up iPhone. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of great mobile apps that I think are better than desktop equivalents, but it's still a very mobile-like experience. For two, the amount of gestures that you have to memorize to really take advantage of the iPad is kind of crazy. They're a lot different than the iPhone, they're different than macOS, so it's like you have to memorize a certain set of gestures for the iPhone, a certain set of gestures for the iPad, and then of course a certain set of gestures for macOS. If you have all three, it could be very, very cumbersome and very confusing. With that being said, there are still plenty of things to look forward to with iPadOS 15, and let me tell you a few of my favorites. For one, I'm excited that Apple is allowing developers to really dive into the M1 on the iPad and develop apps specific to the M1 with iPadOS 15. I know Xcode has been around for a while, but this is really going to unlock the full potential of the M1 chip in the iPad, and that's pretty cool. With Apple putting more and more RAM inside of the iPad, it's really cool that with iPadOS 15, Apple is allowing third-party app developers to take advantage of that RAM, so they're able to utilize more system resources to bring more intense programs, games, apps, and things like that. And with the iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max being able to record 4K ProRes video, I think that the M1 iPad running iPadOS 15 will be able to edit ProRes, and that's awesome. That's one step closer to getting pro apps like Final Cut Pro on the iPad. And of course, that extra RAM utilization needed to happen to make this possible. Lastly, I'm really excited about all of the multitasking features that iPadOS 15 is bringing to the iPad. Some are new and some are just enhanced features and making the ones that were already available a little bit better. Also, there's a lot of connectivity and continuity features coming, and I love how Apple is blending AirDrop with Sidecar. That's pretty cool. Ultimately, the iPad still needs a lot of work, but it's closer than ever to being a full-on laptop replacement. In fact, a lot of people all over the world have replaced their laptop with the iPad, and I can definitely see how they're able to do that. For me, I want to see more pro apps. I want to see Final Cut finally brought over to the iPad. Once they do that, well then I might even switch. The smaller screen really doesn't bother me versus my MacBook. I do like the form factor. I love this iPad, but the question is, do I regret my purchase? that's a tough one. I did a video all about that, and I gotta say, like, if I would have known that the display wasn't going to live up to the hype, I would have got the smaller one. I still would have upgraded, because I think that the 2018 to the 2021 is still a good, healthy upgrade. I just don't think that the mini LED or XDR display is completely worth it at this time. Next year will be the one. So if you haven't upgraded, hold off. The next generation is going to be killer, especially for the 11-inch fans like myself. If you guys have any questions about the iPad, this case, my favorite case, or any of the other accessories I mentioned in this video, feel free to reach out in the comment section or hit me up on social. Make sure to follow me on Instagram. I've been doing a lot of reels and just IG exclusive stuff over there. It's been a lot of fun. And if you want to support me, that's the way to do it. Other than that, I'll see you beautiful people in the next video.